In this video, we're going to be working with the general visual processing of your child. Right now, we're focused on the color red, but at the same time, there's a certain structure to vision that that you can learn from Movement Lesson by Michelle Turner. And I've really taken what she teaches, and I've been studying the mathematics of movement, and especially of vision, and then how that goes into color. And as a result, I've finally been able to unlock the code of the actual visual processing, at least one aspect of the visual processing that's going on, and how do we give your child that experience of visual processing, and ideally the ability to have visual processing if their system is capable of it. So this works for anyone, whether they're visually impaired or not. My daughter is movement impaired and has decent vision, but the vision is being affected because of her movement impairment. And so I still have to work with her with these basic principles to work with her visual processing, because I can tell that she struggles in certain ways with visions because she doesn't have the motor abilities to start getting those correlated. And so one of the first things that you want to do when you're working with your child who's visually impaired, now your child may be a little bit more active, but what's really important is the picture that you're getting when you're working with your child. So basically what we're going to do here is you're going to work on your child, and this is the top of their head, okay? And this is the center. And what we want to do is work on the absolute horizon of the head. This is the body's orientation, how it creates orientation in the body. And it goes through the head, chest, and pelvis, and it's just this meridian line that goes through the body to help the body orient itself. Now, we're going to work with that part, but the eyes also have to orient itself to the body, which is part of the reason why you have the visual processing and the struggle with seeing color. So with this first exercise, when you're working with your child, you want to work with their head, but no matter how their head is moving, you want to just have a really gentle touch and use rotation, and you just want to feel equal movement around the very center of their head, the best that you can. And if you feel like your child can't do that very much, you want to come in with the intent of moving their head around the center. And the biggest thing that you're doing here is the eyes. Okay, so we've got the eyes, and the eyes need to be able to move equally around this center part too. So we're not just focused on the head, but we're focused on the eyes being able to orient itself to the absolute horizon of the body. Right now we're just specifically working in the head. If you want to work with whole body, you'd actually have to go to the Movement Lesson website, get into the support program, and there I help Michelle Turner in the support program, and I teach more of the details of movement impairment. And I go into some of the visual impairment, but I'm not going into the color like you're getting here with this YouTube channel, and also just with my own personal business being a branch of branching off from Movement Lesson. And so this is kind of just my own thing, but it's using the Movement Lesson principles, things like that. And so I'm not going to give away all the details because that's just not fair to Michelle. Her method is really awesome. But I just really want to focus on the visual processing and help you have more success with that as you're working with your child. And so as you're working with your child, you want to have the intent, and the goal is first you want to feel the head moving equally in rotation around this center point. And then if you're getting to that point, then the eyes should be going around that center point as well. But this is a lot harder than it looks, okay? It requires you to have a little bit of patience and intent. And the thing is when you come here with your child, relax your head, Julia. When you come here with your child, you're not just going to grab them and be like, okay, I'm moving around the center. That's not how it works. They're gonna, especially with the visual impairment, they're going to push you away. They're not going to like it, okay? And so what you're going to do is no matter where their head is, you're just going to come here on either side of the head, and you're just going to rotate your hand back and forth like this, imagining it moving around that center. And so it doesn't matter where you touch, it just matters around that center point that we're rotating, okay? And so even if your child is sitting up, okay, can you sit up? Put your legs down. I'm going to show you this. So even if your child is sitting up, sit up for a second. You've got to be really gentle because they'll push you away. You can just come here in the back of their head and go just back and forth, imagining going around that center, okay? So, more, it's how we're working. Sorry, did I bonk your bean? Well, you weren't working very well with me, baby. So, here we are, working, okay? And that's the first thing that you want to do is our intent is to work on the visual impairment, and we want to get the eyes in a place that it can receive the colors. Right now we're working on the color red, so we want to get it to a point that it can receive the color red. And so that's the intent also that we're working on, is rotating and just having the intent, you know, I want to teach my child how to see the color red. And then the second exercise that you're going to work on, which is this is a little bit more tiring to the body. But the second exercise we're going to work on is, now if this is your child, okay, and these are their eyes, what we want to work on is just creating a reference point. We want to connect the head and body to their movements and things like that. And so what you want to do is we're going to imagine a circle here through the eyes, and then a center point around that circle. And what we're going to do is we're going to move the head, or more specifically the eyes, around that center point. And it's just going to be very subtle. Okay? I'm not looking to do a wonk and a wonk like that with the eyes. What we want to focus on is with the eyes. And you're just looking to get them to line up. Because the first thing you need for visual processing is you need to get the eyes to work together. And if your child needs glasses or things like that, or they have some type of other ocular issue, like, you need to get that resolved with the ophthalmologist. Sometimes if you have a really young child, or even with the older children, you know, the eye doctor will look at the child and be like, yeah, don't worry about their vision, like, it doesn't matter anyway. But it does matter. So you want to address those structural issues. But even then, if you can't get those issues addressed, we still want to be giving the eyes the experience as if they're working together, that developmental experience. And so that's the other exercise you're going to focus on, is I'm just coming here and working on her eyes. Now, she does really good this way, but she has a hard time coming to the left because of her scoliosis. And so she doesn't get that eye coordination experience. So that's something that I have to give her. And so this will be very tiring on the eyes. You can really only do these exercises for 5-10 minutes at a time, and you just want to do them periodically throughout the day. Ideally 3 times a day if you can. If you can only get it 1 time a day, that's all right. But this you just want to do in conjunction with the visual exercises that you're doing, like that I've already shown. And you're just growing upon that, and you really need to gauge the needs of your child. If they're starting to blink or get tired, like, literally these are only 5-minute exercises. And so for her, you can see she's just moving from side to side. So I'm making sure I'm keeping my hands in a place where my child can still move freely. And then I'm just focused on that circle and getting the eyes to move around the center of that circle. Now, right now I'm working on that. She doesn't look like she's moving at all. But in my mind, and the intent that I have is that movement. And it's that subtlety that you actually are creating those movements in the body. You're translating that movement from yourself to the person that you're working on, and you are making changes at such an anatomic level. It's amazing how it works. If you really go see Michelle's work, it's just amazing to watch her work. But I'm not Michelle. And so I've really had to do the breakdown of, like, how exactly is she doing this? Like, what is the breakdown? What's going on? And then she really doesn't go into color, so that's my passion. And so I've really, with my studies with functional vision, things like that, and then just my passion for seeing and color and things like that. It just has led me to have a passion for CVI. Like, I want your child to see, but you have to start from the very basics of vision. Just like my child here, she had no movement capabilities, and I had to start over at the very basics of movement to work with her. And so I can really relate to you in that aspect of just having to start from scratch. But even for her, like, and now at this point, like, I still need to work on those visual abilities, because she isn't progressing past what her visual abilities are, and so we have to improve those visual abilities, give the body the experience of optimal visual abilities, so that it can have different outputs. Even if your child never sees great, like, that's not the goal, that's not the hope, but your child can still get the experiences as if they had perfect vision. And so that's what we're working on giving them, is the experience of that perfect vision in general. I'm focusing on right now in the intent of helping your child to see red, but you're going to do that with all the colors that we're going to go through. Is you're going to do these exercises again and be like, okay, I want my child to see yellow, I want to help my child see green, I want to help my child see purple, things like that. And so go ahead, give it a try, be soft and gentle, make sure you consult with your doctor to make sure these type of exercises are okay to do with your child. We don't assume any liability or responsibility for any harm it may cause. It shouldn't cause any harm. This is not a forceful exercise, but at the same time, like, you're doing it at your own risk. Like and subscribe to the channel so you can get more videos on how to give your child the experiences of visual processing and really change the way that they are developing, not only visually but physically as well. Thanks.